So when I've seen the result of that, it's just made me think that actually, um, asking someone for help is not a bad thing. And actually, it's the best thing you can do.
Welcome to the podcast, Sophia. Thank you so much for saying yes to having this conversation with me.
No, thank you, Anna. Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Awesome. So I'm very curious about you. If you can walk us through briefly your experience, your role, the industry that you're in, and how many years you've been in that industry. And if you want to share something unexpected, people that usually don't guess about you.
Okay, yeah, very happy to do so. So I've been in the financial planning or financial services industry for the past 15 years. So since I left university, the first my first career was in financial services, and I stayed there throughout my life up to date. So I went from an economics degree, finance, postgraduate, straight into finance throughout my life. So most of my career was spent in London. So I worked for a couple of the very large banks out there, and had a good career and just worked my way up the ladder. And then came across to the UAE, and again been in the same industry throughout. So something unexpected about myself. So as a child, I spent a lot of my time in rural Africa. So my granddad up to today lives in Uganda. And I spent a lot of my childhood in Africa, during the holidays, but I spent it more in the villages, and that really inspired me. And I loved the simplicity of the way people lived. It was miles apart from the way we lived in London. So I really enjoyed my time as a childhood there. But yeah, not many people know that about me.
Definitely unexpected, and I wouldn't guess.
Yeah.
So on point.
Exactly.
Thank you. Cool. So part of the way we've created the podcast and the series is that we are having 3 series, one for introverts and the guests that are introverts. Those episodes would be in that series. Then we'll have for the extroverts and then the ambiverts. And from my perspective, an introvert is somebody who's recharging themselves as being by themselves, perhaps reading, painting, whatever that activity is, like by themselves. And then the extrovert, somebody who's recharging in social interactions, in groups, and the ambiverts, a mix. How do you see yourself?
So, deep down inside, I'm definitely an introvert. But on the outside, and just purely because of my job role, I come across, or I'm perceived as, an extrovert. But yeah, if you're talking about deep down inside, I'm definitely an introvert.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Cool. So the format for the episodes is that we already created some questions, and we will walk through those questions. You receive the questions, we prepare for the questions. So let's just start. Awesome. So when you started in your industry, what's something that you wished you knew at that time?
I think I guess I thought that it was easier than it actually is, and even up to this day, after 15 years in the industry, I didn't realize how tough it can be, and on many levels, and not just dealing with clients, but also dealing with colleagues. That's a tough one, and especially in my industry, as you're probably well aware, it is quite male dominated. And it has always been. So I wasn't quite ready for that. So I think that's something that I hadn't quite understood until I got into it.
Yeah, interesting. I guess the reason why the podcast came about is to break that glamour the industries, certain industries, I guess most industries have around them, and to share the reality and talking about the expectations, the disappointments, the setbacks, the tips we learned throughout the journey. So talking about setbacks, how have you dealt? I'm assuming you've had here and there a few setbacks when you started. So how have you dealt with them, and what kept you going?
Yeah, I've definitely had my fair share of setbacks. Definitely. So, you know what? I think over the years, I've just learned to be more resilient. And really I think understood how to deal with these setbacks better. So if I rewind back to the very beginning of my career, I was quite young and ambitious, and I wanted to get up that ladder really fast, and I was thrown right down straight away and said, like, you really need to work your way. So I knew from almost day one that I need to work my way up, but I need to work hard. And so, even when you're at the top of your game, and you think this is it, something can happen and you can be knocked right down and almost having to start again. And you become stronger. And I think, as time goes on, you become a bit wiser and more mature, and the decisions that you make are hopefully better. And you learn to be, a bit more patient with things as well. I think my problem initially was I wasn't patient. I just wanted to move up and do other things, and then I realized that, hold on a minute, I think I need to really put the work in, and it will come. It will come, but it's not going to be easy. It's always a bit of a rocky ride. But you can have a fantastic career, and it fulfills many things and allows you to have a good life.
So how have you developed that patience? What helped you?
I guess just through different scenarios, really. That you kind of realize that you need to be patient, and you can try and either fast forward yourself, or push yourself, and try and get somewhere. But in reality, if you're patient and put the work in, and it will come, and you will reach where you need to reach, uh, definitely. But yeah, it's through different scenarios that happen that you learn to become more patient.
Awesome. So through experience, you build that muscle of patience as
Absolutely,
well.
yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And what's one advice that you received when you started, when you were junior in your role, that changed your perspective? Was this about patience or something else?
It can be linked, actually. And I do remember one of the directors of my first the company that I first joined, said to me, I was basically saying that, I've done X, Y, and Z, and really I should be there, and why am I not? Um, and thinking about it now, I had just started, and I was probably one of the youngest members of the team, and just left university, and it didn't make sense, but I really wanted it. So he said to me, Sophia, keep going, do what keep doing what you're doing, and then talk to me from a position of strength. He said, at the moment you're a junior, but get there, work yourself up, and then talk to me, about whatever it is that you're trying to do, because I wanted to promote myself fast. So that's always stuck in my head. And when I'm thinking about something, or trying to negotiate with someone, his words come into my head. I'm thinking, right, am I in a position of strength? Or should I be waiting and get myself to a position of strength and then ask for it? So that was some really key advice that was given to me that stuck with me.
When you're saying a position of strength, what does that exactly mean?
So, if you can show, for example, for example, I've been working for 2 years. These are the results I've produced, or 3 years. So therefore, I've worked this hard. I've reached my targets. I now, I've earned myself to be promoted to the next whatever it is. I'm talking from a position of strength then, and I can show evidence of this is what I've done. But if I'm down below and I'm trying to work my way up and I'm trying to cut out those steps and say, look, I should be up there, I'm not in a position of strength because I have nothing to back me up. So it's from that point of view. So once you've accumulated the time and you've put in the work, then definitely go for it and speak to whoever you need to speak to and say, I deserve it.
Yeah, very interesting. Thank you for clarifying that.
My
I
pleasure.
think that point will help a lot of people starting, junior people or looking to change their career for sure.
Definitely, I hope so.
I had recently thought about this. To be honest, I'm still bad at asking for help. And when I was younger, I was even worse. So I'm curious about how you were when you started. If we are to think about of a scale of 1 to 10, 1, you were extremely bad at asking for help, and 10, you were amazing at asking for help. Which one were you?
Very close to one. Very
Wow.
close to one. Yeah. I didn't ask for help. And actually, only very recently have I been able to get into a position where I'm happily asking for help. And I'm now, I guess it was, when you're concentrating on something, you don't think about it, you don't want to ask people for help, you're just concentrating on your path. But over the years, I've been trying to help people myself. So when I've seen the result of that, it's just made me think that actually, um, asking someone for help is not a bad thing. And actually, it's the best thing you can do in any situation, because if you don't know, if it's, surely somebody does know, and it's a win-win. So yeah, I've completely changed on that front.
Yeah, wow. I think even that piece of advice to learn, because it's a process. It takes a lot of work and self-awareness to reach that point where you can start asking for help. I was seeing some of my peers in the coaching industry asking so fast for help, and I was like, at some point I had some judgment around that, like, why these people cannot figure things out. And with age and with experience, you learn, you reach to that point of wisdom and understanding. Asking for help is good.
Yeah, it's definitely not a bad thing. Definitely not a bad thing at all. And what you do find is actually many people want to help, but they don't know that you need help until you actually ask for help, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. So yeah, definitely. If you need help, ask for it.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Thank you for sharing that with me.
No.
um, Looking back at your industry, what are some misconceptions that happen or people have about your industry?
Um, so from my experience, as well, I think the misconception of my industry is that it's very corporate. It's very much cutthroat, and you don't really interact much with that many people. That's sort of the way people perceive it. Um, and actually, in essence, if you do the job properly and you're the type of wealth manager or financial planner that you should be, actually you're building up great relationships with people. And you're meeting people every day, different people, you're talking to different people every day, so it's actually a very sociable um, uh, you know job. Of course, when when you're in the office, you're quite alone. The job itself, in terms of putting together advice, it's merely done independently. You're on your own, and even if you're with a large company, you're kind of individuals. So that is the case, but actually the role itself, and meeting people, I'm a lot of my clients I've known for many many years, and I still do. I get to know so much about them and their lives, their children or their parents, because I need to know, about everything, literally about a person, in terms of their whole lifestyle, their family, everything. So it's actually nice, and you end up building really really good relationships with people. But um, if you don't know, you don't perceive it like that, and you think, oh, a wealth manager, and you have no idea, but it actually is, it's quite it's more of a relationship building career as well.
Definitely, yeah. I wouldn't. Yeah, first time when I heard about wealth management and the financial planning, that was very new to me. So I didn't know anything about it. And perhaps I would have seen it, as you said, the corporate style and very, you know. So definitely I appreciate that insight, and a lot of people, I'm sure they will appreciate. And so I guess that's where you play with your strengths, or you see your strengths as an introvert, as the listener asking questions, right? Not the opposite, where like loud, outgoing. There is a balance in there as well, right?
Absolutely correct. And I think that's why, there aren't that many females in our industry, but the ones that are in our industry that do the job properly actually are very successful and do really well. And that's because we um, you know we tend to listen more. We tend to, we have more empathy. um, and that's where we start to build a lot of relationship, a lot of trust with people and our clients. And from my point of view, I truly believe that's why, women in our industry actually do well and can do well, if they're not, because of these characteristics that we just naturally have.
Very, very cool. Good to know.
Yeah.
And what's one piece of advice you would offer somebody looking to shift into this industry?
I would say, it's a it's a really really, it's a great industry, wherever you are in the world. It is really good. um, I would say, just, as long as you're qualified, get the right qualifications. That's really key, because that helps you from many angles. It gives you the confidence to really go out and meet clients and be able to help clients, which is what your ultimate goal is, to help them. But don't, always go for the quality. And if you're young and looking at coming into the industry, then try and get all your qualifications done as soon as possible, because as you go further into your career, life takes over, and the exams become more and more difficult to do. So my advice would be, if you're young and coming into the industry, please do. It's a great industry, but get the exams all done. Get as get as high as you can. Get to the chartered level, and then you'll have a fantastic career. You really will.
Yeah, wonderful. Good to know. Good to know. Is there anything else you'd like to share from your perspective? Some insights that I haven't asked about?
What can I say? No, I mean, you know, the from my point of view, I love what I do, and the reason I love what I do is because, um, I know I'm helping people ultimately, and I'm adding value. And I think that's just really important to understand what we're doing. And it's not a quick hit and go. It's a long-term process. Um, and that's where you'll actually enjoy what you're doing, when you're sitting down, and analyzing and planning, and helping people achieve really what they want to achieve. and in the future, and mapping things out with them, it just becomes more enjoyable, from both sides.
And the key word there is long term, long term. Thinking about even that mindset of, yes, you're building this career, yes, it's long term, and you have so many years you can create this amazing career and successfully. I've heard with my previous guests the same insight, right? So long term. And in the end of the day, when we're young, we want fast results. And that can be deceiving in so many industries because we're coming with the wrong type of expectations. We're expecting the results to happen overnight. We're expecting that just because we call ourselves so and so, people will be ready to do business with us.
Yeah, no, it's not it's something that takes time. One, you have to build the trust with people. You have to be visible, and all of that takes time. It does take time. But if you're consistently doing the right things, and building on a good foundation, then you will reach that place where you're seen as the expert, and people will come to you for advice. But the key is, it doesn't happen overnight. It does take a lot of hard work, and yeah, you have to be consistent in what you're doing, and don't give up. There will be downs, but you've got to pick yourself back up again, and keep going and keep going. As long as you're
And,
doing the right thing, good things will come your way.
and like so many great points, like asking for help, searching for mentors that can guide you with the right practices, creating a solid foundation of, depending on how your brain works. Some people are very structured and they like a logical sequence. Some people are maybe more, I don't know. How do you find a lot of logical people or maybe artistic side of people coming into this industry?
Yeah, I mean, obviously everyone's different. So some people are, you're right, some people are very systematic. They have to be organized, they have to know what their next step is. Some people are the complete opposite. And this comes to light, when I'm managing teams. People work differently. So some people want everything written down as a plan, so they know what to do next and what to do next. And then there's some people who are just who won't work to a plan. It doesn't matter what you do. They will just do what they need to do. So yeah, you can be you can be quite diligent, or you can be quite artistic in your approach, if that's the way of putting it. But ultimately, both characteristics, or however you are, you will get to your to your goal. It's just in a different way. Some people, and it's true, it's in life. Some people like to see things visually, some people like to hear things. We know this. And you just have to work out who you're dealing with, and how they will react, and how you can really push them to a certain degree, or how they will really understand what you're saying. So some people, doesn't matter how much you write something down, they just won't get it. But if you talk to them and explain it, they'll get it. So it's the way we are. We just have different ways of interpreting information. And you just have to kind of adjust yourself, and work out who you're dealing with.
That's a great point there, because when you know that you need to invest time as a professional to develop these skills, because in the end of the day, those are observational skills that you've observed the other person, how you're interacting, their personality type, their preferred learning style. It's very important to know all of this if you are to become successful when interacting with others, either in your team or with clients, to speak their language in the end of the day.
Definitely. Yeah, 100%. 100%. And you're right, both clients and members of your team, definitely need to work out their personalities and then be able to adjust to them and their preferred way of communicating. Yeah.
Cool. So what's next for you? This
Oh
year,
gosh,
next year?
yeah, no, I've got an interesting, an exciting opportunity coming my way, which should blossom by the end of this year or Q3 of this year. So that's nice. So I'm looking forward to that, and that will just, it will be a gradual step from where I am. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So that's what I'm working on at the moment, and yeah, I'm just doing what I do, just trying to work hard and help as many people as I can.
Awesome, great. And how can people get in touch with you? How can they reach out to you and learn more about what you're doing?
Yeah, sure. So I guess the easiest way is to drop me a message on info@sophiawealth.com. And you can find me on all the social media as well. So I'm quite active on those. So yeah, anytime any advice needed or any questions that you want answered, I'll be very, very happy to do so.
Wonderful, wonderful. We will share your details in the show notes for our listeners as well.
Excellent.
Great. That was amazing conversation. Thank you so much, Sophia.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure.
Speak soon. Bye.